Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
Me, I'm all right. I've just come away from a couple of friends were having a Christmas do, so I've been eating mince pies and little canapes.
Okay. Today, I want to do things a little bit differently, and I'm going to stick to this because I get the feeling we do these podcasts. I end up in your chair more often than not. You know, you're kind of questioning me, querying me, getting me to say things that sometimes a little bit a bit embarrassed about. I don't want to say. I think last week you got me. You got some views about my colleagues and others out of me that I wish I had kind of kept to myself, but it's fine. Today I want to talk about you. I want to ask you about what's going on, because obviously there should be a dynamic to this show. You're an anthropologist. I'm a psychiatrist, and you keep kind of getting out of the question. But today I want to ask you about what is it that you do? What's your job?
What's my job? What, the thing I get paid for?
Well, yeah. How do you see yourself?
How do I see myself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I see myself differently on different days.
Okay.
And I see myself differently throughout the day. Well, how do I see myself professionally? Sorry, if I'm a bit literal there, but how do I see myself professionally? That's a very good question. And if it helps, I was, at school they said, "What do your parents do?" I was never quite sure what they did because they couldn't give me a straight answer. And I find myself doing the same. What do I do? I mean, so because I've just come from a party where everyone's asking me the same thing. They say, "What do you do?"
No.
And my line is, "I'm a social anthropologist who does a lot of commercial research, and I quite like running a focus group." That's my, and then I followed up with, and I have a book coming out in February. That's my kind of line at least at this Sunday too. I mean, give me another one and I'll come out with something else.
Yeah. Tell me about the book. What's the book about?
The book is called A Travel Guide to Connection, and it's about, in a sense, it's about how I see the world, but it's the anthropological lens. It's an anthropological lens and compass. But when I say anthropology, people are probably thinking, and anthropologists included, they've got an idea of it. I don't think it is that. It's punk anthropology, not out of some highly rebellious streak, but I just can't get it to conform to the rest of it, and I don't want to.
Punk anthropology. What do you mean by that?
Huh? Punk anthropology. You know what punk was?
What do you? Yeah, of course I know what punk was.
You were too young. You're too young. You were listening to your hip hop or something, weren't you?
Oh, I was. Yeah. But all right, okay. What do you mean by punk anthropology? Do you mean like Idiot's Guide to How to Do Anthropology? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Okay, go on.
No, it's not.
Go on.
Punk anthropology. So punk as in is do it yourself. So it could be called How to Be an Anthropologist, but also punk in the fact that it is rebelling against the academic forms of anthropology at the same time as drawing on them heavily. So it's kind of it's got a lot of anthropological themes which aren't apparent, but they're in there. It's writing against. It's writing against the priesthood of academic anthropology, and it's saying, look, you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to go. Well, you can do that way if you want to. Okay. But I'm showing my take on what it is, or at least one of my takes on what it is. It's just one of them.
Okay.
Wait for what.
So this is maybe this is why we're mates, because I think we were discussing about this last week. Oh yeah, okay, but
we're both a little slightly rebellious in a very conservative way.
Oh, okay. Would you describe me as a punk psychiatrist?
No, but I think psychiatrists.
Right, thank God.
I don't think you can be punk in psychiatry. I suppose you had those therapists like R.D. Laing who sort of went out there and did their things, but. No, but see, the thing with punk is anyone could do it. You could, 3 chords could make a tune. You didn't have to sort of pander to all this stuff of the pop industry. Well, in that sense, it's punk anthropology, and it's not doing the whole thing of and this is this culture, and that's that. And here's a famous anthropologist, and this is three key ideas to understand about people.
I
It's not
see.
doing any of that stuff. I was thinking of another word. It's
Okay,
not
okay.
doing all that. It's about who you are,
Sure.
where you are.
So
It's about,
all
I
right.
mean, I could tell it on you, but you don't want to answer my questions today.
No. Let's unpack this right a little bit. Yeah, because I don't exactly know what anthropology is. I must admit, I when you tell me the word anthropology, I think about those like 1980s BBC documentaries. There's a very BBC style accent, right? There was a certain charm to that at one time for me. There still is, a nostalgia to that. As I grew up and I grew older, and perhaps a little wiser, I kind of realized there's not one way to see the world. That was quite a revelation for me, right? So tell me, what do you mean by anthropology? What is that all about?
But there you go. I think you've hit it. There's not one way to see the
Yeah,
world. There's lots of
cool.
different ways. And what we know is what we can observe very quickly, far more quickly than you expect, is people in different places see the world a bit differently. And if you want an example of that, go to your next door neighbour's house.
Mm-hmm.
They do see it a bit differently from you. They're the neighbours. They should see it exactly. They couldn't be any closer. But they've got different furniture. They've got different ideas. They've got different opinions. They don't even agree amongst themselves. They argue. They can't even come towards a common agreement of what's going on because they argue
Mm.
too. So not everyone's not in agreement. There isn't this sort of culture. This doesn't really exist. But what you're seeing is that people in different places see things differently. The key is what you do with that. What do you do with someone who is not you, and this disjuncture between you two? What do you do with that fracture between me and you, or me and, well, it doesn't have to be human. What do we do with that fracture between our sense of ourself
Maybe.
and our sense of others?
So we've been friends for a long time, Jonathan.
Mm.
Yeah, a long time now. Maybe a decade more or more, right? Is our friendship and just like an anthropological project to you? Is it just? I mean, I'm a bit, I'm a bit taken by that.
Well, it's a good question. Okay, let's do some reassurance first. No, I like having you as a friend, and I often talk to
All
people
right.
about you, and I find you've always been interested in other people, and you always value other people, and I think, the way you approach your psychiatry, the way you talk about your approach, is about
Okay.
respecting other
So
people's
you
things.
have
So I love
now assuaged my fragile ego, right? So,
that. Okay.
so we can continue.
So what's
Yeah.
going on
Okay.
underneath that? Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you see, I notice with you often think there's the Muslim identity and what you think is my Jewish identity, which is more
Okay.
possibly in
Okay.
your head than it is in my my cosmology, but
Mm-hmm.
or at least it's different. It's different drawing. Um, that's that's often the lens you see things through, and that's fine. And I don't. That's how you see things. But I'm seeing it. I'm slightly. I'm interested in other aspects of people other than that, and I'm interested in the other worlds they live in, including they're absolutely saturated by other things, not just other people. They're
So
saturated by
what?
other
Yeah.
things.
So
They've got a
one thing
different
that you
body to me.
will often say when I put forth any proposition, and I'm sure the viewers will hear it in this podcast as well. You'll say, "Oh well, firstly, you will dismiss any kind of reductive paradigm that I have that I put to you, right?"
Mm.
And then you say, "Oh no, it's much more complicated than that," and then you start teasing out layers and layers and layers of meaning like an onion, right? You know, and this all makes me feel quite redundant and inadequate, right? But I like that about you. You think about um, the different layers of meaning that encapsulate experience, right? And that encapsulate an idea or a thought or why somebody is seeing something in a particular way. Yeah. Do you think that's an explicit method that you have, or?
Okay. Well, look. One,
Yeah.
it's not my intention that you feel redundant. Although
I'm just tongue in cheek. Yeah.
okay, but I you know,
Yeah.
sensitive man. I do want to. I
Yeah. Sure.
think we have to proceed from some sense of empathy. But
Yeah.
what was your question again?
You're thinking. I'm
Is it
talking about the layers.
methodological? You said, is it method?
Yeah.
Am I applying a method? Not in the sense of the scientist with their test tube or the person producing
Yeah.
data and things. I'm really just putting a lens. It's a very simple lens, and that's what the book's about. It's about how to craft the lens, how to grind the lens, and then look through it. It's very simple, and that's all I'm
Okay.
doing. I don't remember most of the stuff I've read. I really don't. But I have a lens now, and I just
Okay.
adjust it.
So let's just make this a bit more real. So you do this kind of commercial research, and as part of that, you in the last election particularly, I mean, I won't name the parties, we don't have to unless you name them, but you did some work for parties of different persuasions, isn't it, from left to right, how do you take that, and we had some talk about your findings and how they were applied and these kind of things. How do you take that lens? You're given a project, to think about a political party, one whose views you may or may not agree with, right? What do you do with that? How do you begin to dissect what's going on?
So all I'm trying to do with all of it, I mean, it's a bit hard because clients have their own questions and they want something particular. They want actionables, and I'm not very good at giving them what are called client-side answers, because really it's too fascinating, and those who understand how to work with me get a lot from it. But those who just
too fascinating, it's too fascinating to you, right, Jonathan?
That's fascinating. No.
Yeah,
if you watch the process, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. It could just be a list of questions. But but if you just go, sometimes they give me a list of questions and I just read it. Other times they tell me what they'd like to find out, and then we explore it. And other times we really work together to find out what they want, and we review one set of answers and we go, okay, now let's look at that one a bit more closely, and we just dig in. Your question is really about what's the method? What am I doing? How am I answering the questions? Is very simple. And this is what I'm sort of saying in the book. So let's boil it down to two things that are going on in human cognition or human interfaces with the world. We are in a relationship. I'm in a relationship with you here. I'm in a relationship with this screen, with this keyboard, with this cup of tea. I'm a relational being. I can't actually exist without these relationships. And as I look around and I walk through the day, I'm still absolutely amazed how many relationships are going on. And I have relationships with the weather, and I have relationships with my own feelings. As you will know, as a psychiatrist, I've got all these feelings and lots of different aspects to me. I'm in relationship with other characters within myself. All this is going on. And it's multiple. And I have relationships with transcendent states, and I have relationships with food, and I have relationships with my fingers. It's all happening. So I can take it anywhere I want. And what a commercial research often does is say we're interested in hats. So I look at people's relationships with their heads and their hats and their materials. And then I look at the second question, which is a lovely question. And it says, well, what has worth? What has value? How does it have value? Not just monetary value. Things about a hat keeps me warm. It doesn't just keep me warm. It gives me comfort. This hat is one of my favorite hats at the moment, but I'll lose it or I'll get tired and find another hat. But it's got a certain feel to it I quite like. I quite like the little color scheme. And I like how I look with it at the moment, but there's places I shouldn't wear the hat. I'm not wearing the hat at the moment. I could do. I quite like to. Oops, knocked the microphone. I could, but this isn't the place to wear the hat. And sometimes I forget. So we can go on and on about hats. We can, where did I get the hat and all the rest. So
that's
all I do. I look at those two things, relationships and work. Well, a few more things, but basically.
That's it. That's your method.
Yeah. Is there another method? Yeah, no, there's a lot of other bits going on. I mean,
but okay.
I better tell you that. I better tell you a third bit because it's very important.
Mm.
You can do that very judgmentally. You can do that with full of your own ideas of what a good hat is.
Yeah.
So if I sit there and think, well, the hat you're wearing, that funny hat with the two cups on, I don't think that's a very nice hat. Or, I mean, this often happens when people, I work with other researchers who haven't got a good, strong background in research. They have opinion on the product. So I just did a test. I think we tested 15 yogurts. I couldn't care less. And when I did the political parties, I don't mind. I don't care. I don't have opinion on it. I just want to see how they see it. Now, if my opinion gets in the way of the questions, because you think, hang on. But you've got to pull that back. All you're trying to do is look through their eyes. That's all you're trying to do.
Firstly, Jonathan, because I have I have the catch-up coffee with you after you've done that piece of work, and I think you absolutely do have opinion, even if you're suggesting that you don't. Maybe you don't share it, but you certainly have political opinions.
Yes.
Although it's been extremely difficult for me to kind of pin you down or categorize you. That's just a nature of our friendship, right? The second thing,
the nature of your absolutist sort of political.
Perhaps.
Anyway,
right.
Go on.
Sure. Okay. I'm a psychiatrist. I diagnose things. I like neat little categories. So look, the other thing, actually, I'm just thinking when you're telling me that those questions are fascinating because one thing you might know. I don't know if we've discussed this before, but one method or one particular style or philosophy that I really love that gets to the heart of a lot of what I do, and I try and update it maybe on an annually or two yearly basis, right? Is every 2 years I go away and I read Plato's Apology, right? Which is the Socratic dialogue, right? It's about 20 pages. This morning I have a 14-year-old son. I was trying to get him to read it. He's been off school sick for a week and he doesn't want to read it, and he's just watching rubbish on YouTube. So I got him to watch, and then there needs to be some better videos on explaining this, and got him to read it. But basically, the fundamental question that Socrates comes back to in all of his dialogues, and Plato develops the character a bit, as you will know, is what is worth? What is essentially what is value, right? And what's a good horse, right, to a horseman? Or what's a good crop to a farmer, or to a carpenter? What is a good table, right? Now, one might argue, and I certainly see this, that I personally see Socrates as a somewhat of a kind of noble, virtuous philosopher and, teacher, very important teacher. And he's trying to get to the central question, which is, why do we say that something is good, and what exactly does it mean when we say that it's good? And you could go on to argue from a religious perspective that only God is good and all goodness emanates from him. There's something in Plato's theories of forms which we don't need to get to, which might resonate with that as well, right? But it's a fundamental question, isn't it? When I see a beautiful woman, for example, or I see a beautiful goal, right? A football. If there are some goals. I don't know if you're into football, right? You'll see, it's just a 30-second, 45-second clip. You will remember that for all of your life. It is just remarkable. I don't know if you get the same kind of inspiration. You might not be into football.
I think we should have that as the headline of the podcast. When I see a beautiful woman or a beautiful goal.
I'll get in trouble with my wife, so let's not do that.
Probably a few other people. But I tell you what, you'll have popular appeal if that's what you're looking for.
No. What is it? What is beauty? What is the nature of that? They're two distinct things. But both of them, of course, seeing a beautiful woman and expressing that out loud gets me more trouble than, you know, talk about a Dennis Bergkamp goal, right? But what is the nature of beauty, and how do we discern that? And the other problem, Jonathan, central problem, which is I think a problem to political parties as well, is that appreciation of beauty in some sense is shared. So although you're saying that okay, we all have different opinions and different views, there will be some goals that everybody finds amazing. Yeah, Diego Maradona's goal after the 1986 in the 1986 World Cup against England semi, after the hand of God goal. That is, you can look it up on YouTube. It's an exceptional goal, right? There are some models that everybody finds beautiful. Not everybody, but most
Not
people, right?
everybody. But look,
Yeah,
you've got to enjoy football to see the beauty of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might technically go, that's very clever. He's just run round, rings around those people. How very clever.
Yeah.
But you don't see the beauty of the goal. So yeah, not everyone, myself included, sees the beauty of that goal because I'm not a big football fan. I might see that, but someone like me, knowing myself, I think, oh, that's very clever. He's physically very capable, isn't he? But I won't get the absolute glory of it. Maybe if I watched it in the moment it happened, I'd be swept away by the game and things. But I mean, there is that going on too.
Yeah.
So look, we do see things differently. We see beauty differently, and yes, but there are common points of beauty. I mean, one of the questions I find very interesting is the beauty you see the same as the beauty I see? As the crowd rises up and goes, what a goal! Are they in the same place? Or are they in very different places? We think they're in the same place, but we don't know. Maybe they're very, very different places.
Presumably the home and away sides are on completely different.
Yeah, okay, but let's say you're in the home side.
Yeah.
There and everyone rises together.
Yeah.
Is everyone who prays in the mosque, are they in the same place? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
But okay, you tell me, Jonathan, as an anthropologist, that so you did this work with these kind of different political parties. Some of it was quite actually important work, yeah. Helped position some of the parties, as to, and
I think it helped. I think it helped them all. That's my job.
Yeah. The question a party has, and any politician has, is, this platform that I'm standing on, does it appeal to the masses? And how can I craft a story which will get me votes, especially in an election campaign, right?
It's not trying to. It's not. It's not trying to just move away from anthropology. It's not really trying to appeal to the masses. Anyone who has a product or a service and they say that's for everyone, they don't have anything. It's all about targeting, often called segments. It's all about narrowing down on a group of people who have a common sense of value around something, and nudging it one way or the other, which is exactly what they do with the world of hats and the world of microphones and the world of podcasts.
But your segment needs to be big enough to give you a vote, right? You don't want to have your 1 in 1,000, niche idea, right? Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you're down to constituency level and you're down to a small swing, I mean, this is into a democratic. A small swing might just require, and this is the absolute abuse of Facebook and the collecting of data, which is still going on. All this data is available, and we can draw correlations from it. But we can nudge small groups to swing things now. I mean, not through me, because I'm not really quant. I'm just going for themes and leaflets, really, and odd communications and messaging, and I'm going thematic. I'm an anthropologist. I'm not doing numbers.
Can you, in any of your projects, some of them have been really boring, some of them have been really interesting.
None of them have been boring. I take offense. No, that's why I love. I mean, the most mundane. I mean, someone they said, "Oh, we're looking at earplugs." Okay, I picked that up from a trade show. I'd be fascinated if someone said we're looking at these, whatever this is, some sort of. I'd be loving it. I did something on lift engineering. It was great.
Yeah.
can understand
Okay.
half of it, but it was fascinating. The world of lift engineering is quite remarkable. Anyway,
All right.
don't want to hit you there.
Yeah. Do you
Special edition.
ever do you ever get to that aha or eureka moment? I mean,
Yeah,
it's easy. This is it. This is what will really appeal. This
yeah,
is
that's sort
yeah.
of
All right.
fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're chasing information. I mean,
Mm.
now what already happens is you have an aha moment, and then you run another one, and your aha is either smashed, it's fractured some way, but then
Okay.
you find common threads or you find differences. Uh, and coming back to the anthropology, if you go somewhere different, of course, you get off the plane, you land, you go, look, here I am, I'm in Italy, or whatever, and you go, oh, I can understand Italy. It's all, and within 2 days, you think, yeah, I know this place. Almost getting boring now. Were you to live in Italy for another year, your opinion would change so many times. Were you to live there
Hmm.
for 2 years, oof, you wouldn't think it was the same place you landed in because you'd see so much more going on.
Okay.
So part of what I do is try and accelerate that process a little bit.
Okay. It's kind of like so I have to think about the fallacy of history, right? And the fallacy of knowing my patient, right? So
What do you mean by
and
that?
it's
Just
so I can. Yeah, I might have given you this anecdote before, but
give
I
it.
don't think there's any harm in giving it, right? I was a junior doctor, so I was a registrar in a forensic psychiatry unit, right? Very seriously unwell patients. Yeah. Um, Forensic psychiatry is much slower than general adult psychiatry. People tend to have done serious things, murders, arson, rapes, X, Y, Z. Things tend to be very well documented. There will be multiple interviews, court reports, police reports, X, Y, Z. Clinical notes that So you get these, you know, um, this thick kind of packs of for each patient, and sometimes this thick, man. So some of my patients, their files just fill shelves, right? So I go and read all of them like a dutiful psychiatrist. To go see the patient, I might see them once or twice or three times, right? And I might understand that, at that moment when they committed that rape or they were tasered or this happened, X, Y, Z happened. It's a forensic psychiatry is all about some index offense, some offense that you're looking at, right? I'll be like, I know exactly what happened. I got inside that guy's mind, And it was for me, so I did a year of this in the middle of general psychiatry training, right? And I was like, I understand everything about what's gone on, and then they took a very good supervisor to kind of pull me apart and say, you think you know what happened. That's an approximation of what happened. But all of the notes and all of the files and, all of the work that you've done can only maybe approximate you towards the truth, but you'll never actually get there because you weren't there.
and
And
even
so
if
now you're giving this recommendation to the judge, which is often, oh, this guy, he's got this mental health illness. We need to kind of divert him to a mental health pathway, or, there is no mental illness. We need to go down the usual criminal justice routes. These are kind of key questions that, you end up having to answer. But I only have approximations of those answers. I don't have the complete answer.
but I don't think. I mean, you
Mm.
don't just have approximations; you have a positional point of
Yeah.
view on them. And if you were there as a witness to them, you'd still have a positional point of view. And if you were even the person carrying them out, you still have a positional point of view on them. Uh, and it's going to be it's always incomplete.
Yeah.
So there's moments of epiphany, but they're
Yeah.
passing. And the longer you stay with the problem, the more you realize you don't know, or the longer you stay with any subject. And I'm sure the young psychiatrist in
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
thought you had psychiatry licked at some point, and you understood
I
it
did.
all.
Absolutely.
And the more you do it, the more you understand you don't really know what it is at all. It
Yeah.
gets more
Yeah.
nebulous. But that's the nature of knowing, and that's what I really dislike about politics, where people have answers. And I think, well, if you've
Mm.
got clear answers, you probably don't know what on earth you're talking about, or you just know people want reassurance and clear answers. But it doesn't show an understanding. An understanding is there's more to this than meets the eye. This is hard to do. I mean, how can people sell
Mm.
a solution to the economy? a solution to the economy. I mean, the economy is vast; it's flowing in all sorts of ways, and I've got the solution to it. No, nonsense, absolute, utter nonsense. Doesn't exist.
And I think the other problem with that, especially since you've given the example of the economy, which I find I really struggle with, this is this idea of narrative capture. We're just, I think, a few weeks on from a budget, which Rachel Reeves gave in extremely difficult circumstances. It was known that it was going to be a difficult budget for several months. The number of positions that have been taken on this budget is just infinite. It's too many to count. She's talking down the economy, she's talking up the economy. The obviously the Conservatives are saying one thing, she's saying that a different one. They're kind of, their positions change on a daily basis as well. And so it's really impossible for me to absolutely determine, is this a good budget for the economy? Is it not so positive?
So you can't tell, but what you see of the process? What's the process telling us about what's going on? Because what's going on is it's not the final flourish that we see everything in. It's the process that gets us to it, and what follows. We're in movement. There aren't these stop starts. Everything's
absolutely
in movement.
We're in movement, and actually, the central problem, Jonathan, is that the budget is based upon forecasts, and we don't know how good those forecasts are, or if they will essentially come to pass.
I think, that's one of the problems. Another problem is, I mean, from my point, and I think there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different pokers in the fire. But they're also running groups, and then a group will say, "Oh, we just want them to acknowledge things are really negative, and we'll run a few of those because that'll be happening the week we run them." And she'll go, "Okay, I need to let you know this is going to be really tough." And then the reaction to that announcement is people think these things are more positive.
Absolutely.
So and everyone's being run ragged, and no one knows quite what to do. They're trying to get it,
Jonathan,
right.
I am a member of the British public. I appreciate that my tax bill goes out every year, but ultimately, what I want to know is, do the sums add up? Am I going to have a difficult 5 years? Can I expect, that things will get easier over time? I just want, listen, mate, I just want an honest answer to that question. I cannot work it out.
Did you ever have an honest answer? Did you ever have an honest answer, or were you just more naive?
No. However, having done, as I've told you, an economics and finance degree, I thought I would have a better answer by now, right? So, I'm still just as confused as I was before. I know a few more terms. I know how to look up a few more things, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the constant positional narrative shifting that leaves one in complete confusion. Sometimes, Liz Truss's budget
Okay, so I think that's a really nice. So you can see the confusion going on there. Let's come back to what you said about yourself with these absolutist positions, or these reductive positions, or these categorizing positions where you like to adhere to these things, and the fact that I don't. That swirly mess of we can't see what's going on. Well, to me, that's the nature of the world I see. There's a lovely quote by it, but it's unimportant. Even the rock is melting slowly, but it's melting, and we think it's slowly. I'm sure to the lifetime of some entities, some other rocks, it's quite fast, or some other parts of the universe, it's incredibly slow. I mean, time is just another position. So all that we see and all we perceive is just coming through our own senses and our own chatter about what all this is. That's all it is. And then we can sit back and we can watch that, and then it's lovely. But then you see beauty in things which are not beautiful, technically beautiful. They're quite horrific, but there you can see the beauty in it too.
Listen, I want to move this on a little bit, and because one of the other things that you were saying when you were introducing your book, was how it is kind of slightly cynical about the normal taken position of anthropologists, and how you don't see everything through their lens, So tell me a bit about that. What's your beef? What's your
What's my
gripe
beef?
with?
That's exactly. I was about to say, and unlike your beef, I can't name names. I don't have a name that's annoying me. I
didn't, Jonathan.
You
To
didn't
be
name
fair,
names. I know you
I didn't name
didn't.
names. I know exactly the people who I'm thinking about, but I didn't name names. All right, yeah, go on. What's your beef?
I can see them meeting before the general council. Anyway, that'll be another fun podcast.
Yeah.
So look, what do I mean? I think actually a lot of what goes on, certainly in my experience of academia, is there is career, there is debate, and all that's fine. In a sense, it's fine. And there's people doing their research in quite a lockdown kind of way. They're kind of doing it and they're looking at it. And somewhere in that process, they start to believe it. And as anthropologists, we do this amazing thing, which is quite extraordinary. We go somewhere and we might go there for a long time and we'll tell people what happens there.
Yeah.
I always think, you can't really do that. I mean, if someone came and visited my house and lived here for a year, they'd have a story about it, but it wouldn't be my story. I mean, look, I'll give you a perfect example. I grew up with 3 sisters. I don't think we can agree on our childhood experience. And I don't think we can agree on our adult experience either. We see things very differently. But anthropologists come and they say, oh, yes, we sat in this place. I did it too. I sat in this place because you have to deliver the goods. And this is what goes on there. I don't think it is. And of course, once you share your views with local people, they say, well, that's not really what goes on. And then we do a bit of co-production. So they get to write it too. But if they shared it with their neighbours would say, well, yeah, that's fair enough, but it's not what goes on in my house. Everything's positioned.
So it's messy.
Oh, it's incredibly messy, but it depends what you're trying to do with the mess. I mean, if you're trying to organise the mess and keep tying it down and putting into a nice narrative structure with all of this, then yes, you're going to have to make some loops and create fictions. But if you're saying, well, hang on, watch the pattern, watch how the paint flows. Look how this is made, and look how all our actions come in to make it. Look at how all our movements move. Watch the flock of birds. Watch the shoal of fish. Enjoy the movement. Enjoy all our divisions and all our comings together, because that's what we're doing all the time. And look how we coalesce around this object for this moment, and we say, "Oh, this is so good, so yes, absolutely, we believe in this." And I'm so sorry that this all our performances around the world, our interactions with the world, highly performative. This is now interesting to watch. It's a lovely drama.
So let me tell you something. This is the first time I became slightly disillusioned with anthropology, perhaps, right? So I actually, in Kingston College Further Education, many years ago, I did a sociology AS level. Yeah.
And oh God, is that when you became disillusioned?
Well, the thing is that up till that point, I would have been that person who watched like Dispatches or Panorama or whatever these programs are called, and just accepted, and just accepted the narrative that I was given, right? And so the narrative is kind of on the BBC or in Encyclopedia Britannica or wherever, is, societies formed in this way. We were hunter-gatherers. Then we, found, I don't know, flint and, learned how to spark a fire. Yeah. And it kind of, and we all looked at the thunder, and the thunder came down. And so we worshipped the thunder, and then there was a thunder god. And then, we kind of got organized into societies, and agriculture came about, and we started having towns and cities, and we decided we needed to rethink about things and started forming political institutions. The question is, for me, and this all really looks really nice, okay, it makes sense if you accept that authority that BBC documentary is giving you. But when you start asking the question, how do we know that?
Okay, but
so 3,500 years ago, mate, I wasn't around. Nobody was, as far as I know. Nobody wrote written records. We know this through approximations, through kind of the fossil record, as it were. Yeah, go on, Jonathan.
So
You're
look,
saying.
I need to point out I'm not one of those anthropologists. I
Yeah,
don't do
yeah, yeah.
archaeological anthropology. I
No, of
don't
course.
think I even do social anthropology as most people do, but
Mm,
a bit punk, as I said. But the other thing is, there's a danger in saying, well, how do we really know? There's a danger that our reaction against it becomes a more valid opinion. Well, you can't really prove any of this, so it's all a load of
of
rubbish.
course. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I don't believe anything, though. And then, whoever said this, whoever said this. But of course, just our reaction to the fact there's problems with it doesn't make our answers correct. So I can
Sure.
say, this is a load of rubbish. And people didn't come from 3,500 years ago. They came from this place. They came from, they came from South Oxley and near Watford. I don't think they did, but just my reaction against the problems of methodology doesn't make my opinion any more right, and nor does it make my extreme cynicism
Sure.
any valid in a sense.
But
The thing is
the
what you do
problem.
with the
Yeah.
mess.
Well, the problem, Jonathan, is that. Um, so I remember asking my sociology teacher about this. The lecturer at the time. That you're saying that this is how society is formed, and she was saying, well, there's these Ethiopian tribes or this and that, and they live like. I was like, okay, there's Ethiopian or Amazonian tribes or whatever. They live like that now. That doesn't mean that that's how they were living 5,000 years ago. It's a bit ethnocentric, isn't it? Just to presume that everybody was living like that. But the point that I really struggled with it was that exactly what you've just said is that you can't say that this is all rubbish because obviously it's telling you something. How much it's telling you, I don't know. And then all you're left with, and I suppose this is life, is this kind of navigating this complex mess that, okay, there might be some considerations that we think that this is how societies began to form, but then this evidence is limited in this way, and we can't really know that, and hence, and then it becomes really a really, really complicated
No,
picture.
no,
And no,
almost,
all right,
almost do a. You said navigating it, and this
yeah,
is to me. So navigating means, oh yes, I can watch out for the rocks there, and I can get past. Oh yes, I'm going to
yeah,
navigate the river. I think this is hopeful rather than practical. And the other thing is to remember that we're not so different from things that have gone before us, and you can just read
mm-hmm.
Socrates once again or
Yeah,
these texts, and you go, oh, hang on, they were having similar conversations. So the thing is, I don't think navigating is possible, but you can surf it. You can surf. You can sit on the wave. You can sit on that wave of becoming. You can sit on the wave as we make the world real, and you can sit on it and watch the wave
mm-hmm.
coming in. You can't decide where to go, and you're going to get knocked off the wave pretty quickly, but you can surf it for a while, and that's what my book is trying to get people to train them to do, because then if you can stop obsessing with categorizing things and for finding this truth, if you can understand the nature of us, what we are as a, see, we think we're humans, don't we? I mean, I find that
Mm-hmm.
quite hilarious, isn't it? But humans have named themselves humans and
Maybe,
named the
yeah,
Amazonians Amazonians before they were Amazonians.
sure,
We do all this stuff. I mean, for heaven's sake. But note, this is what we do. This is who we are. We're one of these things that does this. So let's watch that. Let's watch that in play. Let's watch the story unfold. And let's watch what happens when people really have to get the story to work. And let's see how hard they push it. And let's see how they react against it. And let's just watch. Let's surf it. Let's see reality come into being through all those processes. That's all we have to do. We can be spectators and get in there and let it move us, but not take it too seriously. And at the same time, we can
mm-hmm.
also, you see, we can also understand who we are much, much better. And of course, we're not just. You think of yourself in terms of the stories that have been told about you,
Mm.
both orally, visually, and also experientially. That's what you think you are, but give you different experiences and you'd think about yourself very differently. Different
Okay.
stories, too.
Okay. Why didn't you become an academic then, Jonathan?
I can't do
Why? Go on then.
it because I I know it's a very interesting question. Why can't I do it?
Mm.
Well, Dr. Musa, I think because I don't think I'm, in a sense, I don't think I'm good enough. I'm certainly not intellectual enough. I don't get any joy from any of that. I don't get a huge amount. I mean, I used to enjoy the chase to get little bits of information. That's kind of gone.
Mm.
I read stuff, and I mean, I get what I want from it. I read it, and I go, I can kind of see inside there. But I don't like this style of writing. It's mostly doesn't do it for me. I don't like the culture, for want of a better
Mm-hmm.
word. I don't like. I mean, there's so many things I don't like about it, and I don't even. I'm not quite sure in the subject I'm in. I think there's far more fun ways to enjoy anthropology than going to university. I mean, I think if you get into it, it's a great thing, and I think it's a lovely, beautiful subject. And I know so many people who've gone through an anthropology course, and it's fundamentally changed them. I think that's absolutely brilliant. But for that, you've got to get your A levels. You've got to be able to pay for a
Mm.
university. You've got to be able to write to a certain standard and do all
Mm.
this in a certain way whilst doing all these things in order to get it. And slowly, they start to tell you what the whole thing's about, because that's the method of it. I think there's a far more fun ways of doing it, far
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah,
exciting
yeah.
and creative ways of doing it. And in fact, tomorrow I'm taking 3 people out on an anthropological tour of the city. I'm not even sure what one is yet. I just we're going to find out. But that's
So,
maybe what we'll do. I might drop in on an anthropologist, give them a
okay. So,
feeling there. I don't even know if I'm going to do that. I don't know, because I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to interact with our environment and talk to people and talk to things.
City of Brighton.
Yeah, well, that's where they're coming down to Brighton, and they want an
Mm.
anthropological tour, so I'm going to give them one.
Let
I don't know if
me
it's possible. I mean, I suppose it is. We could do a bit of history. Well, this is where such and such lived. This is what life was
what
like 100 years ago.
where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'm asking. I mean, it's going to happen within the next 12 hours, and I still don't know. I haven't made my mind up. Another reason why I think academia doesn't suit me. But we will land, and we will encounter things, and we will interact, and then I'll just help them ask the questions. Because really, I don't see the point of a tour where I point things out. I see a point of a tour where they learn to get the lens a little, and then
Oh,
they start to discover it. If I took you on a tour, where would we go?
mate, I would if I went to Brighton. The first thing I would do, whenever I took my family to Brighton. I used to work in Brighton, as you know. Yeah. The first place you have to do is to take them to the beach, Pebble Beach, get them
Mm-hmm.
fish and chips, sit down, just enjoy the shore, right, and the seagulls.
Yeah.
And
See, that's
but then yeah.
that's the funny thing about traveling, isn't it? When we travel, we reduce places to a handful of things. I mean, some countries are just one
Yeah, yeah.
site. Whole countries about visiting one
Mhm.
place. I mean, it becomes
But
absurd.
Jonathan, I mean, I lived in Brighton for 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a dark and seedy side to Brighton as well, which I
yeah.
know from working in the hospital. You know what I mean? There's a very joyous side to Brighton. It
Well,
can
it's
be a
just a
great
place.
place. Yeah, yeah.
It's
But
got
the
everything.
thing that as I was leaving, the thing that was really getting my goat was the parking. To be honest, right?
Sorry, is that the dark, seedy side of Brighton? Yeah, I mean,
No, no, no.
a lot
There's
of
a
people in
very,
my
very
street chat agree with you. I mean, I
there
got
is
rid of the car, so I don't care.
there's a very dark and seedy side to Brighton, which is, if you work in the hospital for a couple of years, you come across it. You know what I mean? And you just, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's not just
but
Brighton. There's
isn't
many
there
other places. Yeah,
everywhere? Isn't
there
that
is.
just
I'm sure there is.
part of
Yeah,
life?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, that
yeah.
is part of life, isn't it? But
Yeah.
I mean, it depends what you. I mean, in the hospital, it's hard because you're having to deal with its consequences constantly, and yeah, there's we're a city with murders, we're a city with
Yeah.
violent offences, we're a city with a lot. quite a bit of poverty in places now. I mean, it's, you know,
yeah,
it is what it is, and it's a mixed bag. Everyone thinks Brighton's one thing, and then they keep coming across the people who aren't like them.
of course.
So, you know,
Yeah.
which of course is quite a hard confrontation for a place that thinks it's liberal.
I think one thing I want to just finish with here, Jonathan, right? I think it's a shame that you see yourself as not academic. You are actually very academic. You love this stuff, right? You are able to put a spin on anything. And we've talked about everything, haven't we? We've talked about munitions, we talked about arms fairs, we talked about the Colombian drug trade, we've talked about cannabis, we've talked about coffee. What else have we talked? Goodness me, you know, we've talked about engineering. You talk about lifts, political parties, you know, and you really love it.
I do love
we
it.
talk about psychotherapy, and so if you're telling me that you don't want to be an academic anthropologist because you know that style of writing is too constraining, then I would say that the style of writing is too constraining rather than, you know, we're not defining the style broad enough, you know,
But there's
because
other
you love
ways.
it. Yeah.
There's other ways. And you know what? I mean, and tomorrow I'll be looking at fish and chips. So I'll put it on the list. And the day after that, I'll be looking at something else. I mean, I find everything interesting. I find everyone interesting. And that's an effect of anthropology. And I love it. And I add one more thing.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone at the party about this. I can ask a good question, but that's all anthropology. Because I can do that because it's just that little lens. And you go, what's that? And then you ask the thing. I tell you what people often say when I ask a question, because I talk to everyone. I see everyone. I don't care if I know them or not. And that's new. That's also the anthropology. But they often say, oh, yeah, that's a good question. No one ever asked me that, but. And I think,
okay.
You see, isn't that the question we should be asking? I know people, they ask me questions. I think, I mean, you see it on interviews, don't you? You see someone's come in to tell something and the interviewer asks them a load of stuff and you can see they're not that interested, but they have to answer it. They're not able to answer the questions that they have, which is really, you know, what, you know, you should ask a politician, what's the questions you're battling? Because they're not going to give you an honest answer, because that's, so maybe those are the first questions you have to deal with, which is integrity and honesty in the world of competitive politics. Hard to do. But yeah.
Okay. I have one question, just one question for you, Jonathan.
Okay, after that.
With or without vinegar, mate?
Chips? No, I can't do salt and vinegar. I can't. Okay. I would love to. Here's the thing. I would like to smoke cigarettes. I'd like to enjoy football. I'd like to have chips with salt and vinegar.
Right.
I can't do any of those things, but I realize they are really socially handy things to do. They make you accepted. That's in my head anyway.
Listen, I'm going to come down.
Do you do all of those things? Are you salt and vinegar?
Yeah, salt and vinegar. Yeah. I'll pack it up high. All right, then, Jonathan.
All right,
I'll see you next week, mate.
I'll see you next week.